Hey everybody, VP with Metaverse News One here. Remember me? The guy who used to do Illuvium Zero strategy videos? Well, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. It's just Illuvium hasn't given me much of a reason to do content on the parts of Illuvium that I play. But this is all about to change very, very soon. So it's great to be back. If I can, let me kind of reintroduce myself to you real quick. So on this channel, there's probably four main things that I do. Now, I have a main channel. It's called No Nonsense Forex. If you want to go learn how to trade, or if you are frustrated with your technical analysis and you want to learn a brand new, more efficient and sensible way to do that, go to No Nonsense Forex on YouTube. But we're here right now. And that's what's important. What I do here is I play Illuvium. I mostly focus on the strategy side of things. And I mostly focus on Overworld and Illuvium Zero. Now, as a player, I'm very, very average. But where I think I can add value is the actual strategy side of it. And I'm probably not even the best strategist on here, but at least I do come at things from a very unique angle. And so you can watch me and some other strategists on here and get a nice little variety of how to maximize your efficiency on Overworld and Illuvium Zero. We're going to be doing both of those. I am terrible at arenas. We won't be touching that. We're going to play to our strengths here. Now, for what it's worth, these games are not out yet, but I do really love a game called Cornucopias. This is a Cardano native game that is expanded to the base blockchain, I think Ethereum too, but it's not really going to be out until 2025. And even if you don't care about that game, you can just skip those videos. But the other game I like is also Cardano native. It's called Cardania. And there's a card game they'll be releasing soon called Enter the Ultraverse, and I will be making videos on that almost definitely. Cardania is a smaller project, and it's actually been out for a good 3 years. I've been playing to earn on that game and just stacking tokens and resources for free for the better part of 3 years. But probably no Cardania videos until that card game comes out. And then, it's in the name, Metaverse News. I have been doing some 5 to 6 minute Metaverse News shows on Fridays, but I had to stop again because as of right now, there's just not a whole lot of really compelling news out there in the Metaverse and Web3 gaming space. Now, there is about to be, as a lot of these projects get closer to release, so you're going to see a lot of that too. But thank you for subscribing, thank you for sticking with me, and thank you for allowing me to reintroduce myself to you. Now, today, we are going to talk about Illuvium. We're going to talk about ways it can improve, but make no mistake, I really, really love this game. More than I ever have because, well, for starters, I am an investor. Know that. Let me just get that out there. I have, I think, 8 parcels of land. I invest in the ILV and the IMX token. That IMX token, if you're not invested in that, you probably should be. And I've dropped a lot of time and content creation into Illuvium already. So I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And really, this last beta has been so impressive. We're going to complain about things today. However, the way Overworld is now especially, I play it and I'm like, okay, now I get it. I understand now how this can be really sticky and have great replay value and really motivate players to get stuck into this game for a long, long time. And as an investor who is staking for RevDis, and who has land and will be producing fuel. That's all really good. Because I used to be concerned about the replay value. I am much, much, much less concerned now. And let's give them credit. Like every time they set a deadline, they don't hit it, but it doesn't matter. Like there is nothing like this on the market right now in the Web3 space. And there's not going to be for the rest of the year. And they'll have at least 3 games out. I don't really consider Illuvium Beyond a game, but with Arena and Overworld and Illuvium Zero, I'm not sure where Gauntlet is in development. I don't even care. They should really, really be commended for what they've done so far. So when things aren't going your way, just remember that. And like I said, even though we're going over things that I personally think need to be improved, who's to say that they aren't already 2 steps ahead of me on these things? Or it's already on the devs list of things to do. I don't know. But either way, we are going to talk about those things today. Now, overall, what we're going to do is this. Obviously, I'm going to go over the things that I think need to be changed before release. You can tell me if you agree or disagree down in the comments section. Please do. And if there's anything I haven't talked about that you also think needs to be changed, let me know too. But I want to say this real quick too. And this is the one message. If you take anything away from this video, take this part away right here. We need to be thinking long term. I see too many times on Discord, for example, people who are only thinking about themselves and thinking very short term. How much money can I make right away? And I hope the right people are seeing these comments, and I hope they're dismissing these comments, because if you listen to those people, the game is not going to make it. You need to be thinking long term. Rising tide lifts all boats. Some of the things I'm about to say are propositions to make the game more difficult and less lucrative for people overall, especially in the short term, or maybe less fun and exciting for people in the short term. But if this game does not become what we want it to be in the next 5 years' time, a lot of the assets we hold and a lot of the assets we earn aren't going to be worth a whole lot. I think you guys would agree that most of us want this to become the next, more evolved version of Pokemon and TFT. And there is zero chance of this happening if Overworld is as easy as it was in the beta. Do we all understand that? Okay, good. And by the way, if you like these 2003 PowerPoint slides that I do, you're in luck. This is what I do on my channel. I think it's very easy to read. The darker color is easy on the eyes. So I know I get made fun of for this, but this is by design. Plus it gives me a little bit of a brand. When you see things like this, you're watching Metaverse News One. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into the top 7 things, and this is going to be in ascending order. So the first few are going to just be me being really petty, and then the last one's going to be like, okay, this is absolutely non-negotiable, must happen. So the first one, and I don't know if you felt this way too, but once the overall day flips over, they like to tell me which quests I failed, and they like to blink them across the screen for a good 1 or 2 minutes. I don't care which quests I failed. You don't need to tell me. You certainly don't need to tell me that way. Chances are there's certain quests I just didn't want to participate in. So maybe find a different way to tell me, or speed this process up a little bit, because as soon as I log in, I'm trying to get stuff done. And I don't need you telling me that I did not win an encounter on stage 1. I know that. I didn't even play stage 1. So just a small annoyance there. Let's go ahead and move up the list a little bit. As of right now, this is a touchy subject for some people because we all have emotions on this part of the game. Morphopods. Now, in the alpha, morphopods, well, there's one type of morphopod that was just taking people out. But they have nerfed the heck out of those to where, all right, we know they're annoying. They're kind of supposed to be annoying, but they really serve no purpose now. If you're going to put them on the board, they need to pose a threat somehow. And they just don't now. I had my nephews play Overworld a few weeks ago, and they are, one's 8, one's 10. And they figured out in 5 minutes that you could just fly past the morphopods, and there was just really no consequence. Now, I think a lot of us would like to see them just be eliminated altogether, but again, we need these levels to be challenging and exciting. It can't just be pure farming. And I know there was talk of the alluvials being able to attack you as well, but in order to keep things really interesting, and just to prevent people from absolutely speed running these levels, morphopods should be able to mess you up pretty good. And that reminds me, something I did not put on this list that I've put in every list for the Overworld I've ever done is, if they kill you, dying needs to mean something. Dying doesn't just mean start over at the beginning. You need to lose energy or something. There has to be a real consequence there. Because as much as it might annoy you if those things are there, you have now introduced a whole new level of strategy into the overworld, which it needs. It's like, how fun would Mario be if you just got to eat the star and the invincibility never went away? That's pretty much what you have here. Now, I'll say the morphopods, especially on Crimson Waste, for some reason, those things are just incessant. That's not really fun. Every time I fly through the air and I land, I'm getting attacked by at least 2 of them. I could probably do without that. But I think in a perfect world, these things need to be killing machines again, and just simply flying past them can't be the cure-all solution to morphopods. Because flying is mostly what we're doing in the game already anyway. I don't know. If you're going to have them there, make them serve a purpose. Make them pose a threat. Because right now, they really don't. This is a great way to make the game more difficult, and they're not doing it. At least not in the beta, so we'll see. My next one. Discord forum needs to be fixed. In particular, the Overworld sub-forum. So we are currently about a half hour before the actual close of the beta. So this is going to be probably over the top, but it's been like this for the last 3 weeks. You can see we're on the Overworld forum, and it's all, and I just got here, it's all trading. It's swamped. If you have an actual question about the Overworld, I doubt anybody's going to see it unless there's a mod on duty. There's no guarantee the mod's going to see it either. So this is not what the actual Overworld forum needs to be. And I think they do have actual forums for people who want to trade, but nobody goes there. And what are you going to do? Every trader that comes in and starts doing this, you're going to shoo them over to another forum? I don't think that's really going to be efficient. So what I propose here is this. So no problems without solutions. I think the solution here is maybe instead of creating a want to trade, want to sell forum that you need to push everybody towards every single time somebody gets on there and tries to sell stuff or trade for stuff, maybe just let the Overworld forum be that, and then have a sub-forum for people who have general questions on the Overworld. So those people will have some place to go where they're just not getting swamped by traders and sellers. Because I know right now we also have the community help forum too, but I'm telling you, once this thing gets cranked up and it starts to become the game we all want it to be, traffic is going to multiply on those forums. So if we can separate things out now, I think we can set ourselves up for success later. Next one, and like I said, this is probably on their list, but I had problems with the fuel exchange. I don't know if you did too, but there were many times where I couldn't claim testnet ETH, even though I hit the qualifications. And there was also times where I tried to buy fuel and it just didn't let me. And so I'd bring this up on the Discord forum. They said, well, okay, you just need to re-log in, which I did. And most of the time it worked after I did that, but I don't want to have to do that. I would just like it better if things worked all the time. And let's be honest, this is one of the most important things in the game. If we want fuel prices to be high and we want RevDis, this thing has to be optimized for efficiency. And so I hope this is at the top of their list. Next up, and I'm almost positive they're going to fix this, but while we're here, I need to talk about it. And that is the minerals that we mine. Pretty obvious. There are certain minerals that we have an absolute over excess of. Even tier 5 minerals, I had so much Celestium and absolutely no place to put it. And I crafted, apart from tier 0, because that was a waste of time, I crafted every weapon and every suit, and I still ended up with tons of Celestium. Now, on the other hand, there were times where I would perform very grotesque sexual acts for like 10 more rubidium that I had in my possession. And I can say this because I don't qualify for ads yet. But you guys know the feeling. Like lithium, chromium, especially rubidium. We were just always short. Now, in a perfect world, we're always going to be wanting for some type of mineral. That's a good thing because that makes us go play the game, which means we spend money on fuel. But if I'm playing mostly stage 3 and I have 10,000 galvium and 0 rubidium, the balance is off. So now moving on to the last two. These are the two most important things that I can think of right now that really need to be fixed before Mainnet comes out. Especially because if we don't, this is going to be very hard to unfix as we move forward. We'll talk more about that. But to better illustrate these final 2 points, let's go back to the game. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go to Crimson Waste, and we're going to turn on the auto scan and go ahead and travel.
If I'm disintegrating.
And then let's see what we have. I don't know if you guys have ever really looked at this.
Am I still in one piece?
So we'll go to map.
Good.
And we'll see what's here. This is all the alluvials. This is a crazy amount of alluvials for one map. Let's just get that part out of the way. But then let's look at who's here. I said I just got here. I bet you we're mostly going to see Ace and Laura. Let's see what we got. Oh, there's Ace. Another. Laura. Ace again. You guys see my point? See if we have anybody good. Look at all the... Ace, ace, ace. Is this really necessary? Look at all that. That's obnoxious. You don't need, one, this many alluvials. Two, this many aces, for Christ's sakes. What's the point? It's absolute overkill. So anyway, my proposal is as follows. So this part isn't really on the slide, but a little more variation. Instead of just putting ace on the board 10,000 times, ace is a cool alluvial. I don't want people dreading it every time they see it, but just overall, you don't need to have that many alluvials on the screen. Discovering an alluvial, no matter who it is, or what tier it is, or what stage it is, should be somewhat of an exciting experience. However, in its current state, it's more of an annoying experience. And it really shouldn't be that way. It should be the opposite. And I'll go as far as to say this. There are normally, well, I would say the majority of the time, there is at least one tier 5 alluvial walking around. I don't like that. It's too easy, in my opinion. I think especially during the first year. If you're playing Arena and you roll up with a Ramfire or a Goliant or an Adorius, that should be a big deal. That should be a flex. That should be an advantage. That should be special. But if 6 months from now, the majority of serious Arena players are all rolling up with those 3 alluvials already in their deck, then what's special about them? I posted a video a while back where I was showing people who drew a really rare FIFA card and how they would flip out. And that is the exact type of reaction I want to see when somebody captures a Ramfire. Because you can't even sell FIFA cards, but you can sell that Ramfire. And if you catch one, I hope you are able to sell it for a lot of money. But you can absolutely kiss that opportunity goodbye if a Ramfire or a Goliant or whatever can be easily obtained simply by 4 to 6 months of grinding and fusing. Now this is going to upset people that have the expectation of grinding for a few months and capturing every single alluvial. But I will state my case even further in the next slide. But for now, let me go ahead and hit the very last one. And the most absolute important thing I think needs to be changed immediately. And it goes hand in hand with number 6. If you're not going to give me number 6, you have to give me number 7. And that is to make way, way less hollows. If you're not going to give me the FIFA trading card freakout video with a Ramfire, at least give it to me on the hollows, even on the lower tiers. You probably saw on that map we just looked at, I didn't click over all of them, but there was one hollow on there. I think it was Lalura. But in the last couple of weeks, I've played maps that have had 7 to 8 hollows on the board. I think I played for over 80 hours. I should have encountered maybe 1 or 2 the entire time. Yeah, I'm going that far with it. So let me expand on all this, okay? Some of you might be agreeing with me. Some of you might be disagreeing with me. Some of you think I might be, on the right track, but a little too extreme. So let me dig into this a little more. I am well aware that things are not going to be as easy as they were in the beta because fuel is not going to be free. And because of that, everything is going to go much slower. Well, remember too, there are people who play this game that have money and time. And there are also people in Illuvium Zero, I think there's over 700 mega cities in Illuvium Zero. Those people are going to be cranking out copious amounts of fuel. Now, I know in Illuvium Zero, we can't use our own fuel. I won't comment on that, but you can easily trade it in for ETH or SILV or whatever they're going to use and just spend that back on fuel and then go play the game as often as you want. So if they don't make any changes here, for some people, the game is going to be that easy. And if after 3 to 6 months you already have everything worth having, why would you keep playing? Some people like playing the game long after they've already beaten it. I'm not one of those people. I simply go move on to something else. To me, this beta was a microcosm of what could be or what probably will be, and that really concerns me. It's still way too easy. And I understand too, the game does need to be hard, but if it becomes too hard, people are going to get discouraged and they'll stop playing and they'll complain and we'll get a reputation that it's too hard. The only people who can make any money are people who already have money. I understand the other extreme end of that spectrum. I get it. And I know you have to strike a balance somewhere, and that's a really hard thing to do when Mainnet isn't even out yet. There's going to be a lot of adjusting on the fly, but there are certain things you must get right now, and I'll explain in a moment. But my overall main reason I did this video is to re-illustrate the point I've made ever since I've been playing this game. It needs to be harder, and things like your higher tier alluvials especially need to be really unique and really hard to get. And I would say progressively harder too. Dash is a tier 4, and he's on every level. If you play a level and you don't see Dash, it's almost weird. If I'm playing and I see Dash running around, I want to be like, oh shit, there's Dash. But it absolutely was not that way during the beta. Now, I did think they made a good job of making stage 3s harder to find. I felt like they got that right, but I'd also like to see the higher tiers be tougher too, even on the lower end. But if you're not going to do this, at least do this. You need to give people that one dragon to chase for the next 3 to 5 years. And you have a golden opportunity right here. It's even better because instead of chasing one thing, and maybe you get lucky and get it, you're chasing a whole bunch of things. Hollows and dark hollows. And you might be saying, well, VP, you can make hollows relatively easy and dark hollows hard. No. I'm saying make them all difficult, unique, and rare. And then make the dark hollows even more so. These things need to be special. They need to be rare. And when you put them on the market, they need to be very expensive. And they need to sell for high prices too. Why? Because new players will see that. And they will see simply how playing a fun game and possibly getting lucky and capturing a hollow alluvial like that could possibly bring them significant, if not life-changing money. This strategy works. I remember this from collecting baseball cards. There came a time in the 90s where people were spending every dime they had on baseball cards solely for the purpose of getting one of like the top 3 or 4 players. The baseball card companies saw this, and they took it even a step further by creating special edition versions of the top players, which is kind of their versions of hollows. This is the best marketing you could possibly do because word of mouth gets around. People are making videos about that one time they caught a hollow alluvial and how great it was. And if you could make real money on that, believe me, this stuff is going to go absolutely viral. It's great for the Web3 space. It's great for Illuvium. But again, kiss all of this goodbye if you don't get this part fixed right now. Because if you make it too hard at the beginning, like we talked up here, and people get discouraged, that's fine, because you can progressively make it easier, and you won't end up losing too many players. But if you make it too easy at the beginning, and 2 weeks in, there's dudes out there with 10 hollow alluvials already, 2 dark hollows, and a phosphorus, now you've really messed up. That genie is a lot harder to put back in the bottle, because from there, you can ratchet up the difficulty. But the damage has already been done. We have such an opportunity here with the first major Web3 game to come out to make Illuvium and Web3 in general like the most exciting thing to hit gaming in the last 20 years. But 6 months from now, I go on the Illuvidex and I can get a hollow flish for 30 cents and a Titan ore for $28. Forget it. It's over. We messed up. And we messed up bad. So thank you for listening to my rant. Like I said, please put your opinions down in the comments section. I am all for smart, grown-up conversations. So if you can bring that to the table, please do. And subscribe, hit the bell. We are just getting started. I told you, once Illuvium comes back, I'm coming back too. Hot and heavy. Can't wait. See you then.